You don't become a low-value man overnight. It's not one mistake that breaks you. It's a series of small ones. Moments where you let your discipline slide, your focus fade, your purpose drift. Moments where you told yourself, it's not that serious. Until suddenly, everything is. Low value isn't about status or looks. It's about how much of yourself you've lost to comfort, weakness, and excuses. You can't hide from it. Your habits will always expose you. Here are 7 signs you're becoming a low-value man, or you are already one. And how to stop the downward spiral before it ruins everything you could have been. Make sure you watch till the end, because the last one is the reason most men never level up. Let's begin. 1. You lack self-control. Every downfall begins with this one. You can't control yourself. You want success, but you can't control your urges. You talk about focus, but you give your energy to distractions that drain you. You talk about purpose, but you spend hours chasing pleasure. You tell yourself you're in control, but deep down, you know you're not. You're addicted to short-term highs that steal your long-term peace. And it always starts small. Just one more scroll. Just one more drink. Just one more night out. Until those small choices become a lifestyle, and that lifestyle becomes your prison. Every time you choose pleasure over discipline, you train your mind to obey weakness. You become a slave to impulse. And you can't build a kingdom if you're serving your own addictions. The truth is, most men don't lose because life is unfair. They lose because they can't master themselves. A high-value man does the opposite. He controls what he eats, what he watches, who he entertains, and how he reacts. Not because he's boring, but because he values peace more than pleasure. He knows that every no he says to temptation is a yes to his power. So ask yourself, are you controlling your habits, or are your habits controlling you? Because the man who can't control himself will eventually be controlled by everything around him. But here's where most men make it worse. Instead of fixing themselves, they convince themselves they already know what they're doing. 2. You think you know everything. This is the silent killer of progress. A man who believes he's already wise stops learning. He mistakes experience for mastery and ego for confidence. Low-value men think they know it all. They speak loud, argue endlessly, and resist advice, not because they're strong, but because they're insecure. They'd rather look right than actually be right. And you can spot them easily. They interrupt everyone, but rarely listen. They defend their mistakes instead of learning from them. They see correction as an insult, not a gift. The sad truth? A man who refuses to listen will eventually have nothing left worth saying. A high-value man stays curious. He questions himself. He studies people who've already done what he's trying to do. He learns quietly and applies relentlessly. You see, pride feels powerful. But pride is just the armor men wear to protect their ego from truth. The difference between a weak man and a strong man is that the weak man hides behind his opinions, while the strong man searches for understanding. So when someone gives you advice, do you defend yourself or do you listen? When someone challenges your mindset, do you shut down or do you grow? Because the man who stops learning has already stopped leading. And that's why the next sign matters even more. Because when you stop learning, you start chasing the wrong things to fill that emptiness. 3. You chase pleasure over discipline. This is the one that ruins good men silently. Because pleasure feels right in the moment, but it leaves you empty the second it's over. You tell yourself you're living life, but you're really escaping it. You're drinking to forget. You're smoking to feel calm. You're chasing women to feel wanted. You're scrolling to feel distracted. Every one of those actions feels harmless, until you realize years have passed and nothing's changed. Pleasure is easy. Discipline is hard. But the difference is this: pleasure keeps you the same. Discipline changes everything. Low-value men live for the weekend. They talk about their dreams, but spend their energy on dopamine hits, entertainment, hookups, laziness. They crave the feeling of progress instead of doing the work that creates it. High-value men understand that comfort is a trap. They don't chase peace through pleasure. They earn peace through structure. They don't run from hard things. They run toward them because they know growth hides in discomfort. Every man must choose his struggle. You can suffer from discipline now or suffer from regret later. And that's why the next point is even more dangerous. Because when pleasure becomes your habit, complaining becomes your language. Sign 4. You complain too much and avoid responsibility. Nothing drains a man's power faster than constant complaining. Low-value men love to talk about what's wrong, but never about what they're doing to fix it. They blame the world, the government, their past, their parents, everything except themselves. And here's the harsh truth. Every time you complain, you're telling the world that life owns you. You're admitting that you've given up control. Strong men don't do that. They don't waste time explaining why things are unfair. They use that energy to get stronger. When something goes wrong, they don't point fingers. They ask, "What can I do about it?" Because complaining might make you feel heard, but it never changes your situation. Low-value men stay stuck because they never realize this simple truth. As long as you see yourself as a victim, you'll live like one. Every time you take responsibility, even for things you didn't cause, you gain power. Because now you have something you can change. The difference between weak men and strong men isn't luck. It's ownership. The weak complain, the strong correct. But here's where most men fail. Instead of fixing themselves, they turn their frustration outward, criticizing everyone else to hide the fact that they're not improving. Sign 5. You constantly criticize others. A man who spends his time judging others is a man who's avoiding looking at himself. Low-value men live through comparison. They gossip, they mock. They measure their worth by who they think they're better than. They find comfort in tearing others down because it distracts them from their own lack of progress. But here's the truth. When you're focused on growth, you don't have time to judge anyone. The high-value man doesn't criticize, he observes. He studies people's flaws not to mock them, but to learn from them. He's too busy improving himself to envy someone else's journey. You can always tell where a man is in life by how he talks about others. Weak men talk about people. Strong men talk about ideas. Disciplined men talk about goals. Criticism is a reflection of insecurity. And when you constantly criticize, you're only exposing your own lack of direction. So instead of asking, "What's wrong with them?" start asking, "What's missing in me that makes me care so much?" And that's why the next sign is critical. Because the kind of people you surround yourself with will determine whether you rise or stay stuck exactly where you are. Before we go deeper, just do one thing for me. Hit the like button. If this is already hitting something real, what's coming next will hit even harder. Let's keep going. 6. You surround yourself with fools. Show me your circle, and I'll show you your future. You can't outgrow an environment that keeps you small. Low-value men hang around with people who think small, act lazy, and make excuses. They stay in circles where no one challenges them. Because being comfortable feels safer than being called out. But here's what happens. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If your friends complain, you'll start complaining. If they waste time, you'll waste time. If they have no goals, you'll lose yours too. That's why so many men never grow. They're loyal to people who are holding them back. They confuse friendship with familiarity. They mistake comfort for loyalty. The high-value man chooses his circle with precision. He surrounds himself with men who are stronger, wiser, more disciplined than him. Men who don't flatter him, they sharpen him. He knows that iron sharpens iron, not comfort. So look around. Are the people around you making you better or making you slower? Are they pushing you forward or pulling you down? Because here's the truth. You can't rise with people who have no interest in climbing. And that's exactly why the final sign is the most dangerous of all. 7. You're addicted to comfort. This is where most men lose everything they've worked for. They stop growing the moment life gets easy. They get a stable job, a small win, some attention, and they stop pushing. Low-value men are addicted to comfort. They want to feel good, not grow. They avoid challenges. They avoid pressure. They avoid anything that reminds them they're still behind. But comfort kills ambition quietly. You don't even notice it happening until one day you realize years have passed and you haven't moved an inch. High-value men are different. They seek discomfort. They chase growth. They understand that pain isn't punishment. It's the process that separates the average from the elite. If you only work when it's easy, you'll never reach the level that demands sacrifice. Every man wants success. Few are willing to bleed for it. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly did something that scared you? When was the last time you pushed beyond your limit? If you can't remember, that's your answer. And that's why this matters. Because the man who chooses comfort today will live with regret tomorrow. How to reclaim your value. Listen, brother. Every man has low-value habits. But what separates men who rise from those who rot is awareness. You can't fix what you don't face. So if any of these signs hit you hard, good. That means your self-awareness is waking up. Becoming a high-value man isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about cutting the habits that weaken you and rebuilding the discipline that makes you untouchable. Here's the truth. Every no you say to weakness builds a stronger version of you. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you rise. Every time you stay silent instead of complaining, you gain power. Start small. Build structure. Protect your focus. Respect your time. Keep your word, especially to yourself. Because at the end of the day, your value isn't defined by money, women, or status. It's defined by how much control you have over yourself. So from today, stop blaming, stop running, stop waiting. You've got one life, brother. Make sure when it's over, you can look back and say, I didn't waste it being average.